Good morning. It's dark 30. It's Dave. Just got back from 2 days of climbing at the coast and I thought I'd share something with you. Past two videos we've done have been geared specifically towards electronic technology. Today I want to tell you about how that mistake can be applied to anything in life. Although being experienced in climbing since my childhood, I have always struggled in one way or another with getting that dang clam out of the ground. So yesterday, after having my hand, my wrist, my elbow, my shoulder down in the ground, trying to get my limit of clams, I was soaking wet. A couple waves broke over the top of my head, soaked me all down inside my pants, my waders, my socks, everything was soaking wet. And I said, Dave, you're 63 years old. There's got to be something you're doing wrong. There's got to be a better way to do it. Well, I tell you, I thought I had found the solution to the problem. And this all started about 5 or 6 years ago. My wife and I are down at the coast. Gal came walking by. Wasn't a minus tide. She had a limit of clams. So I stopped her. And I said, hey, what are you doing? She says, hey, I go out and dig a limit of clams anytime. I says, oh, really? How do you do that? And she says, well, here's how. She lifts up this shovel and she says, this is the key to my success. Can't get them anywhere. Only one place in Astoria that makes them. Stainless steel. She says all my old shovels rusted out. That salt water wreaks havoc on everything. Big old long handle so you don't have to bend over and you kill your back. Because you know you tamp that baby on the ground to get the clam to show. They show in various ways. Some of them look like an anthill, inverted nipple, something like that. But, if you've dug clams, you know what I'm talking about. And I looked at that and I says, can I see that shovel? So she handed it to me. I says, this is the key to your success? She says, yeah. I says, Dave, you're going to get one of those. So I bought one. Family gave it to me as a birthday present. I was off and running. The only problem was things didn't change that much. By the time I'd get to the clam, I was up to my shoulder. Poor circulation, my fingers are numb. Being in the water so long, water's cold. Can't move my fingers, it's like arthritis set in. Trying to grab the clam like that. He's pulling one way and I'm pulling the other way. And I'm saying, man, he's just a muscle. You got a brain. How come he's winning and you're losing? What's going on? Well, I tell you, I spent 40 years being trained in sales. To use your senses. to listen, to watch, to ask the appropriate questions so that you evoke the answer you're looking for. And I said, Dave, this thing's outsmarting you. You got to change something. So I stood up, dripping wet, cold, and I looked around and I said, what are you going to do? What's the solution to the problem? So I looked around, and about 50 feet up the beach was a commercial clammer. Big net behind him, probably had about 300 clams in it. So I walked up the beach. Got about 5-10 feet away from him, and I started watching. This guy finds a clam, sticks his shovel in the ground, shoves his hand down behind it up to his wrist, and pulls a clam out and throws it in his net. I said, that can't be true. So I watched him again. Does the same thing. I'm on my hands and knees, up to my shoulder, playing tug-of-war with a mussel, and this guy hasn't even got his wrist wet yet. He's probably only into his knuckles. So, I walk over, and I said, sir, I've been observing you. You seem like you got a great technique going there. I'm sure you've had many years of experience developing that technique. You make a living off of it, digging commercial clams. I'm not a threat to your technique or your livelihood. Would you mind sharing with me how you do that? He says, young man, sure. He says, I tell you what. He says, you walk right alongside of me. We'll find a couple clam holes. I'll explain to you what I'm doing, and you watch. And I said, who better than me than to watch? I'm trained in it. So, we're walking along and just kind of chit-chatting. And he stops and he looks at me and he says, well, he says, I can tell you your first problem. Get rid of that shovel. Oh, I thought it was impressive. I says, what? I said, get rid of my shovel? What's wrong with my shovel? I said, you can't buy anything better or more expensive than this shovel. And he says, I tell you what, you're using the wrong shovel. He says, the commercial guys, we do it for a living, use a true temper shovel. He says, that thing's got too much of a curve to it. See how it's curved there? He says, it looks good, but functionality, nah. So while he's talking to me, I'm looking at his shovel. And I said, man, that thing looks familiar. He says, I use True Temper, made by True Temper Company. All of us commercial guys use True Temper shovels. I says, whoa, is that right? So he picks it up and he shows it to me. You know what? It looked and is exactly like this shovel. This was my grandpa's. This is what I used to use. It's flat. He says, the first thing you got to do is you got to go out and get rid of that shovel and get yourself a true temper shovel. And I said, no, I don't. I got one at home in the garage. It was my grandpa's. He says, well, what are you doing with that shiny thing? I says, I'm trying to look good. Huh. So, he says, next time you come down, bring Grandpa's shovel. I'm going to show you how to do it the right way. See if things get better for you. I says, oh, great. So I watch him. I learned. Hey, if this guy can do it commercially and he's willing to show me, I'm willing to learn. I'm always willing to learn. Doesn't make any difference how old you are. So, watched him for a while. I still struggled with the shovel. I was soaking wet, water breaking, waves breaking over my head. My shorts were soaking wet. My socks were soaking wet. The inside of my waders were all wet. It was a mess. So I got my limit, went up to the bathroom area. They've got an outside water spigot, so I'm cleaning off my clams. Get my shovel and I clean it off. I set it down, and cleaning all the sand off my boots. And there's a guy and his wife standing there. He looks over to her and he whispers under his voice. He says, look at that guy's shovel. It's stainless steel. I made a mistake. I should have gave it to him. Or at least tried to get $25 for it. So, this is a lesson learned in life. This goes directly to my son-in-law, Paul. Paul has a famous saying. Every time he comes over here, he looks at my stuff and he says, that's old school. Well, I tell you what, Paul, you guys graciously spent about $125 on this top of the line, only get in one place in Oregon, clam shovel, and I truly appreciate it. The latest, the greatest, nothing like it. I mean, you got to wear sunglasses to use this thing. It shines so much. But, Paul, it just goes to show you, sometimes old school is better. Flat, rust. This thing is probably about 60 years old. So, next time, let's go old school. We're going to go down next month. I'm going to take Grandpa's shovel with me. I'm going to apply the techniques that the commercial clammer showed me. And let's see if I come home with a limit of clams. Let's see if I come home dry. And if I run into that guy at the restrooms again, I'm going to bring the stainless steel one and I'm going to give it to him. So I tell you, a lesson learned in life, apply it to not only clamming, mobile technology, apply it to anything. Sometimes you just can't beat old school. I'll be back with you mid-May We're going to give you an update, see how things worked. Unbiased opinion. If it doesn't work, I'll probably go back to the stainless steel one. I mean, this baby is so soft as a baby's butt. So, until then, let's go old school. You have a great day. Bye.